Welcome to the AI. Readiness podcast with Lucy and Andrew.
Yeah.
Well, hello. Welcome to episode number 7 of the AI Readiness podcast. I am one of the hosts, Lucy.
And I'm the other, Andrew. Rich is our producer, who is on hand always to keep us honest.
Hello. When translation is needed, I say bananas.
Okay, so that means when it gets too technical, right?
Exactly.
Banana Man. Thank you very much, Banana Man. So, who are we? What are we? The AI Readiness podcast. Well, it's all about giving you ideas and grassroots inspiration for supporting effective AI adoption in your organizations and your teams. If you're out there thinking, where the hell do we start? If you're thinking, how do I develop buy-in for AI? Because I know that there's some resistance. If you're thinking, I reckon people are already using it, but we don't know what. If you're thinking, we've given people the tools and no one's using it. All of these questions are the types of things that we cover in this podcast. Isn't that right, Andrew?
That's right. And our credibility is there, right? Because we're practitioners, so we twigged about a year ago that organizations and people needed support with this stuff, and we're doing it. And so we talk about our client conversations. We talk about what we know, what we're learning, because we're using the tools. It's our day job. And so we've got a lot of stuff to share with you.
Exactly. So ultimately, we have played with all of the tools. We've had all the client conversations. We're working through all of the adoption strategies. So we know. So why not listen to the podcast, get inspiration to save you loads of time making all the mistakes that we already have. So what's coming up in the show, Andrew?
Okay, we've got a special guest, People and Culture Director Carla De Schepper from Animal Care Group, and she is a great guest. She's a very cool customer, right? Very cool customer. But what she has done at Animal Care, a global organisation, is she's picked up the AI agenda by the scruff of the neck, and she's made it happen strategically with the right senior leaders, and she's kind of rolling out a bit of a blueprint for success. So if you want to know how to do it, Carla has got the template for you. Also, if you're feeling a bit stuck, if you're in an organisation that's kind of big enough to get a bit bogged down in the sort of politics and we don't really know who's responsible, we've got a bit of a foolproof way to reboot your AI projects and turn those unclear policies into springboards for success. Interesting adventures in AI, where a really intriguing use case for Claude, which is a bit like ChatGPT, for analysing some documentation to get some surprising insights. So I'll call that a strong tease there. So hopefully that's going to keep you hooked. What's next for your team? So how you can shift culture and mindset to embrace AI over the next 12 to 18 months. And then a nice penny drop moment I had with somebody in Spain recently on vacation, which was my favourite, oh my God, this is amazing moment, and I just really want to share it.
So what goes on in Spain comes on the podcast. Exactly.
There is no privacy at all in our lives. If something interesting happens, it's in this podcast.
So that's what's coming up in the show, and I'll say a few bits. So I'm not 100% sure when this came out, because I was reading an article that was dated the date this week, but the article kept referencing 2024 and it's going to be transforming 24. So I think somebody has dropped a major in the article. However, the premise of it was that Microsoft, for the first time in 30 years, may be changing the keyboard of the PC.
No way.
With a new button. So the button that they're considering to be replaced is the Windows button. Now, the only time I ever use that is the little one on the bottom left with the 4 squares, their kind of flag logo. The only time I use that is when I do Windows H to get the microphone up.
Yes.
So unless they're adding another one to it, which begs the question, well, which button will actually go? And this button is for Copilot. So that you have Copilot at the push of a button. And I guess the idea is that it kind of integrates AI more seamlessly into everyday work, just in a click. What do you think about that, Andrew?
Well, I just want to be at the meeting where that was decided. You can imagine a lot of them assembling loads of people around the table and saying to a psychologist or a consultant, why do you think people aren't using Copilot? And well, it's because of fear, it's concern. Actually, the first time you use it, it's inaccurate. You know, there are all these problems with it. And then they're like, yeah, anyway.
They can't find it.
So what do you think, keyboard guy? I think we need a new button. Great. That sounds simple, easy. Let's just do it. Yeah.
No, I reckon the cleaner came up with it.
What? So somebody's like busy in the background squeegeeing the windows and they ask them.
Exactly. They've spent millions, but there's something that isn't quite right because adoption levels are low, use is a bit low, and also kind of trust in it. And, it doesn't sit very high in the rankings of the generative AI tools. So they spent all these millions and they've asked the cleaner and they've come up with this.
The button will fix everything. Because I go into Copilot and I'm like, hey, tell me about what emails have I missed? And it sort of goes, I'll check the last 10. What about the last 11? Like, I just don't trust it. So a button is not going to make me trust it more.
Yeah, exactly. And also I notice whenever I click into a calendar meeting, it's got then emails underneath, which in theory are meant to be conversations or anything relevant to that person. 9 times out of 10, there is emails there that have nothing to do with this meeting. So that's always boggled me as well.
Yeah, it's.
But the button's going to solve it.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. If anyone's interested, I'd say F8. I don't use F8 very much. So
Right, if that's one to go.
In other news, the CEO of Salesforce, Mark Benioff, sort of came out on a podcast recently, and it's sort of been repeated a lot in the news. That he's talking about Microsoft Copilot being really disappointing. He's actually compared it to Clippy 2.0. So about 1 million years ago, Microsoft would create this thing called Clippy, which is sort of like an annoying cartoon assistant.
I remember.
And he's compared it to that and says that it lacks transformational value for customers, suffers from accuracy issues, which is what we're saying. He's sort of criticizing because users need to build their own large language models, which he sees as a major drawback. And he's talking about Copilot as a huge disaster. And this was all on the Logan Bartlett Show podcast. And he's
I remember Clippy. It was an animated paperclip. It used to go, hello.
Yeah, and it's just very, very annoying. It's like when Disney movies put a silly character in just to attract the kids. It's just kind of pointless. Anyway, so he's saying that, that people rarely use it unless they lack access to alternatives like ChatGPT. So he's come out really, really strong. My take on it is that I kind of think, I'm glad someone said it out loud, because we kind of think it. We're struggling and limping along with Copilot because lots of our clients will say, "Can you help us?" It's not
poo-pooing them, is it? It is how we feel based on experience.
I would love Microsoft to succeed. I've got no axe to grind with the organisation, but Copilot's just hard to use and it's difficult to trust. And to hear somebody in that position say it kind of feels validating because like I said, we've been learning to love Copilot, but it's been a hard journey.
There's 2 things for me. One, I think, yes, this could be good, as you say, global voice, making some noise. Could Microsoft sit up and listen? Or 2, could there be an ulterior motive here? The CEO poo-pooing Copilot in such a way. What I also read, and I'm going to just read verbatim, he has also said, I don't think Copilot will be around. I don't think customers will use it. And I think that we will see the transformation of enterprises with agents. And Agentforce will be the number 1 supplier. Agentforce is Salesforce's AI tool.
Are we saying that there's a vested interest in slagging off Microsoft?
There is a vested interest. Don't quite know the extent of Agentforce without Salesforce. But that will be an interesting one. It sounds like they are possibly coming into the marketplace. So pinch of salt to a degree. Again, interesting, important, on that scale.
I hear you. But you've got me thinking now, like PowerPoint, Excel, Word, they're so integral in our, they're like the things that we do everything on. Is he sort of talking about a world where they're not where that's not true anymore?
It is interesting because I never use PowerPoint anymore. I use Canva. which has AI plugged into it. You use beautiful.ai for things like that. So there are other products. I mean, how long has PowerPoint been an absolute arse? And it could be so much easier.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Really interesting. Well, like what an amazing time in history to be watching these massive industrial titans slug it out in the public scene.
You say slug it out. I've just had a vision of them in a boxing ring.
Yeah. Is there jelly or mud?
We have Microsoft, and in the blue corner we have Salesforce.
So in other news, like a couple of bits that I've got my eye on, there's Runner H is a new contender that's talking about creating agents, and I've sort of signed up for early access, and it's like, hey, share this post with 50 people to move up in the queue. I'm like, no, I'll just wait till it's released. Or popped up on my ChatGPT. That's the video creation that's caused quite a kerfuffle in 2024. It popped up on our ChatGPTs, and then it sort of quietly disappeared again when I clicked on it.
Interesting and annoying
At the same time.
Perhaps we need to expand our matrix. Interesting, important, annoying.
Conversations in the field.
I love it when I'm in a field. I do love it when I'm in a field. Have you heard that that's been incorporated in? Does it sound wrong?
No, it sounds fine. Why do you love being in fields?
There's a load of different things that go through my head when I say it, and I'm allowing every one of you to think them all.
All right. For me, being in a field means midges, which are, if you're not listening in the UK, that's like a horrible little insect that lands on your neck and you have to slap it, and then another one comes.
Picnics, or running around with a daisy chain around me or in my hair, naked.
Got it. So, conversations in the field. One of the favourite noises that I like to hear is people saying the phrase, "Oh my God, this is mind blowing." So I was in Spain last week, and we had a local guide who was supporting us on our holiday. He was sort of bemoaning his business problem, which was so he's a paragliding guide, right? And he really wants to sort of build his business. He's 65 years old, and he wants to grow it to a reasonable position. And he was saying, but it's just so hard to write blogs all the time, because that's the thing that gets me traffic to my website, writing blogs. I said to him, have you ever thought of using ChatGPT? He's like, what's that? So I went around his house, and I said, honestly, I think my motivation actually was, I was having a tough week, right? Because some of the sites were quite difficult to fly, and I just wanted to feel good at something. So honestly, that's what's going on. So I said to him, I'm going to give you a quick demo. And in 45 seconds, I showed him how to create a blog that was personalized, well written, well researched, all that kind of business, like literally in 45 seconds. And he was mind blown. And we were sitting in Alicante in Spain in his cozy house, like quite a cozy, big, comfortable house with the fireplace on. And when we started talking, it was an L-shaped sofa, and he was on the other end of the sofa. Within 5 minutes, he was right next to me, to the point where I was wishing I had a breath mint. He was like, like leaning over me, going, "How do we do this? How do we do this?" And so I sort of showed him, I worked him through it, like how to personalize it, how to get ChatGPT to create this incredible content. And then I said, I'm going to show you a few other things. And so I showed him, Claude doing data analysis. I showed him, a few tricks, party tricks, and how you can actually talk to ChatGPT. He had to stop after about half an hour because his mind was too blown. You know that moment where you show somebody something cool and you solve a real problem for them, and then they just can't. They are in a trance. They can't concentrate. They're just away with the possibilities. Away with the possibilities. And I have to say, I loved every second of that. Loved it.
Well, good for you. 45 seconds in a fact-check, research-based, accurate, authentically written blog.
I know.
Who would like one of those?
Everybody would like one of those.
Exactly.
Everybody would like one of those. And it's the antidote to filling up the internet with junk, where it doesn't take you long to learn how to do this stuff well. And I showed him, and then within like the next day, I saw this brilliant Facebook post, which sadly was about me and my lack of commitment to stepping off the hill. But put that to one side. It was a beautiful post, and I looked at his previous posts, and they were not great. So we've left Lucy, you by proxy have left a quality imprint on somebody in Spain.
Well done. Absolutely.
Yeah, loved it.
What else?
Conversation with the potential client yesterday, and part of the conversation was, we've got somebody working in the innovation space, and the people who are doing that, we're going to reward them with Copilot licenses. That kind of made us think a little bit, right?
So a gift giving away.
Copilot license
The
like a
thing that comes to
reward.
my mind straight away is, we've talked about this before, just giving copilots away when people don't even know what it is, how to use it. We haven't potentially understood, and we don't know this, but these are the considerations. How do they feel about it? We know mindset is a big barrier to adoption. So is that going to land? Yes, it is a valuable tool, but not if you don't understand it and haven't bought into wanting it, needing it, and X, Y, Z.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, so if you've got people in your business who are part of an innovation program, they're kind of self-selecting people who are kind of forward-thinking and possibly early adopters. Because, but rewarding them with Copilot as like a prize or a reward without giving them the proper training, like it's a bit like giving a kid a violin, isn't it? You might hear some scratchy tunes, but they'll soon kind of give up if they don't have the support.
It does feel a little bit weak to me as an employee kind of incentive.
Absolutely.
So I'd probably rethink that one. And that actually links quite nicely into something that came up in AI Immersion this week. Fantastic group. Got such a range of people and roles that are on this AI Immersion that you always pick up just really insightful nuggets.
Quick note should explain that our AI Immersion, it's like an 8-week program, 2-hour weekly deep dives, and we start with ethics and basics, and we go through to like advanced ninja prompting, and we take people on a journey, and we do open programs and we do programs for organizations as well.
Thank you very much. I shall thrash myself for forgetting that there may well be people listening that don't know what I know.
Please don't be so hard on yourself. We're here to support each other, dear colleague.
So in this week's immersion, because you've just mentioned early adopters, that concept. Now, one of the participants actually said, and I've got the transcript here because I wanted to read it. He said, "I'm usually not an early adopter. I like to wait for the final version of new tech, but with AI, I've realised it's never going to stop at evolving. I need to change my approach."
Yes.
What an amazing light bulb moment and poignant self-awareness check that was, because AI isn't a thing that you do, that you learn once. One webinar isn't going to cut it as such, number one. And number two, we know that the tech is constantly evolving and more things are coming and being added to it. And that actually can feel overwhelming if you are somebody to wait until, because there's arguably even more to learn. Bottom line is, start now. Don't wait.
Start and keep going. Because I've had a couple of conversations, like, so my wife works for local government in the UK, and a couple of times she'll mention what we do at work, and then I'll end up having a half-hour coaching conversation with one of her colleagues. And the sense that my wife gets is, firstly, she is regarded as an AI ninja in the workplace, which she is absolutely delighted by.
Brilliant.
She's just a couple of pages ahead in the book. But what the sense that I sort of say to her, how did it go? What did they say? They feel like they've done it. It's almost like, it's like a bit like Google, but like a really clever version of Google. And now I know how to use that. I've sort of done it. And I'm like, there's so much more. There's so much more. So I agree with you, Lucy. It's not like you've done it. It's like you're getting on a travelator or an escalator, and you're moving in the right direction. Like you're moving with it. You've never finished. Yeah.
And also for those perhaps like this participant who is thinking, I'll wait till it's finished. I'm not going to get involved in the beta testing, or, there's more stuff coming out, so I'll wait until that's finished. I don't think it's ever going to be finished. So you have to start now. I think ultimately that was the conclusion that they had come to, which was great. And it's the conclusion that we'd like to encourage any other people that aren't starting with their adoption journey now. And another kind of really poignant conversation for me with a client recently, working with a luxury retail goods retailer, and I was really delighted to see that it was head of culture and capability. So another a title that I guess sits within HR. They'd obviously recently run a leadership day for the senior team, and they one of the kind of main objectives of this day was to consider what the business needs to look like in 12 to 18 months, but looking at that through the lens of AI, which could arguably fast track that. And I thought, what an excellent activity, because the insights from that future vision help then to work backwards in terms of what's needed now in order for that to be true.
Well, because I totally buy into that. It's like, the way I think about it is like, what does it take to win, right? So you sort of, you anticipate in 18 months time, what does winning look like? And then you go, great, right? So now we know what winning looks like. Let's work back all the process steps to get there. And if you don't do that, how do you know you're on track?
Yeah, exactly. And how many organizations, teams have you worked with or come across that are doing it the other way round? And so if there was any way that people could just pause for a moment and have that kind of activity, or start to ask some of those questions, so that the strategy that they put in place now supports that moving forward. And I was just thinking, what are some of the questions that people in culture, people in capability, for that strategy need to be asking? It's things like, what teams and departments will be affected by AI or could best be supported with generative AI? How will roles evolve? What other questions should people be asking?
So these are great questions. So how will roles evolve? How will we what's our possible redeployment plan? So what's the people strategy? What's the technology strategy? I think the main thing is that all those great questions that people are asking, you've got the right people in the room hearing the answers. Because we're aware of that sort of disjointed strategic kind of approach. Like, maybe an IT director's going, yes, I've automated this and I've released, 15 jobs or whatever to do other things in the business. And then the HR people are saying, well, if you'd have told us earlier, we could have got some training in place, but now we're stuck. So,
I was going to say training and skills. One, from whether that's because of deploying people, or equally just to support the future of work, because that's what this is about, isn't it? We need to future-proof both organisations and people.
So, as you know, Lucy, as a consultant, I'm a lover of frameworks. So I like the 3 Ps: people, product, and process. So, what do we need to do from a people perspective to get our organisation ready? Which of our products could we innovate and do differently, get closer to the customer? How do we make life better for our customers? And what business processes could we automate or make better or more efficient, or even get rid of using AI? Those are the 3 places to start with your sort of strategic question set.
100%, 3 Ps, everyone. And on that note, I really need a P.
3 Ps in a field.
For the 4th P.
Do you actually need a P?
No. No, I just thought it was really funny.
It was quite funny.
It was funny. The friend did this. It's nothing to do with me, but a friend of mine was telling me that they did quite an interesting piece of analysis using Claude. So if you haven't come across Claude, it's a bit like ChatGPT. It's a sort of, chuck it on your browser, sign up to it, start analysing documents and doing things with it.
Anthropic's product, isn't it?
By Anthropic.
I have seen it coming up the ranks in popularity.
Yeah, and so this is the crowd. They were working at OpenAI. It all kicked off. They booted out the CEO, and these lot went, we're going to set up on our own a more ethical outfit, supposedly. Right? Anyway, so I can't speak to that, but what I can say was used in a really interesting way. So picture this. Friend of mine, right, who was made the executor of a will of an elderly relative, and last will and testament, right? So the will was redacted in lots and lots of places. So what you can read is like, I give to this person such and such a chair, this person £10,000, this person, all right, and then the remainder of my estate goes to my executor XYZ, who is my friend. But the elderly relative is remaining tight-lipped about the size of the estate. So they said to me, do you reckon AI could help? And I was like, well, maybe you could upload the documents while maintaining confidentiality, taking the names off and all that sort of thing, and actually get Claude to analyze the gifting patterns of the smaller gifts and then use that to predict the overall size of the estate.
Ooh.
Yes. So,
And how, so is there any way of knowing its accuracy?
there'd be one ultimate way, which obviously my friend hopes doesn't come soon. But they used a couple of approaches. So they used ChatGPT to just talk about this person's life and then sort of build a bit of a picture. And then they used Claude to actually analyze the will, and the two figures were the same. The two figures were pretty much the same. So interesting. So if you think about the mechanism, so Claude has probably got a whole bunch of learning data. So Claude has probably read thousands and thousands of wills, and it's able to look at those wills and go, the gifting patterns that I see, if I compare it to the sort of benchmark data that I've got in my learning knowledge bank base, whatever thing, it could come up with quite a good guess. So I'll let you know when things come good for my friend. I'll let you know whether it was accurate. But what a really fascinating, slightly spooky, and really morbid use case of using
another way of using generative AI to solve a conundrum. Out of interest, was it a healthy estate?
You were talking in excess of 10, 20 pounds. You're talking life-changing. What it boils down to, unless you're an expert, you don't really know, but Claude's given you a very good guess. But, advice to my friend, keep contributing to your pension. Interesting exercise, though.
Fair enough. Well, I'm going to talk about a little cheeky something that I have done. Now, I came across a sales video online on somebody else's website, so it's on there. The whole world can see it, listen to it, etc.
Public domain.
If they really wanted to, they could listen and write down every word that was said. Pause.
This sounds like a caveat for you nicking their stuff and analysing it.
Totally is, but I'm just saying, so it is possible.
Okay.
And whilst I'm saying this, writing down what they've said, pause to finish writing down, then press play, do that. That reminds me, that's how I learnt all the lyrics to Vanilla Ice, Ice, Ice Baby. I recorded it off the radio onto my cassette player, notepad at the ready, then play. And now I can't even remember the first line. That's really embarrassing. Yo, take up a stop and listen and write it down, and then pause, play, write it down, pause. Anyway, I digress. So yes, I did play their video, and the reason I played it and put Otter AI on my phone to record it was because I really loved the formatting of the video and the way it was structured and guided me through a process that really wanted me to go, yes, I want them, I need them in my life. And I thought...
Bananas, could you tell us about Otter AI a bit more? Do you only use it for transcripts or?
So Otter AI is a specialized tool and app that you can access, and I use it specifically on my mobile phone. It's not the app I use on my PC for recording meetings. So you could have it on your phone when you're in a meeting with a client, a friend, or what have you, as long as you've said, is it okay that I record this? Press record, and it will record and then transcribe all of the meeting for you so that you can then summarize or use the whole transcript, etc. It is also available on the desktop and can join meetings in that respect.
So it's like it records a meeting and then it transcribes it, and then there's a large language model behind it, so you can actually ask questions about the meeting. The first time I used it in anger was writing a strategy document for a championship football club in the UK. So I basically sat down with the CEO, put the phone on the table, recorded us talking about strategy and SWOT analysis and all that kind of stuff for about an hour and a half. Went back to the office, pressed the button, analysed it, wrote it all up, and he was like, that's my strategy, that's amazing, how'd you do that so fast? I'm like, I used Otter.ai. It's really, really effective at tracking and analysing conversations.
One of the tools that can be used to record meetings. So I put it on my phone and left my phone on record whilst this video played off my PC. So I therefore had the transcript to save me writing it down. Saved. I then uploaded and was able to email myself that transcript to put into ChatGPT and a bot that I'd already built, which has all of our company's details, documentations, guidelines, values, brands, products, etc. It literally is a team member. It knows us. and said, I really like the format and the script and the design of this 20-minute promotional video, and I would like to do one the same for XYZ. And it was absolutely genius.
Amazing. So it discarded the detail of the product, and it just basically picked up the framework for the video, like the structure, and then mapped it onto our products and sort of recreate. That's clever. You are clever.
By video, I don't mean it's produced a video in terms of images and things. What it's done is produced a script and the structure and the sections for our business, our terminology that we can build, make and do.
That's
which
genius.
Has saved, honestly, even though I kind of know what to say when you need to put something down, you get the blank page blindness, and it would have been a day of faffing around, I'm quite sure, at least, to produce the video script and get it right and do this and remember to bring in that and whatever. Yeah, literally using Otter AI to borrow somebody else's format and the work that they've already done. Jim Collins always said, don't reinvent the wheel. So that's exactly what I've done. Put it into ChatGPT and a bot that we've already built with a knowledge base of our business. And it's that whole process, 20 minutes recording, I would say 20 minutes then of finalising and faffing, 40 minutes, job done.
That's amazing. So if you sort of transplant your amazing example into an organizational context, right? So let's say I'm a boss, somebody's doing that for me. The first thing that we'll do is we'll go, when can you get this done? And it's usually like a week, next Tuesday. But you're talking about getting stuff done instantly. So organizations that are on this will suddenly get used to a level of pace, which is just something that you're not used to.
Yeah, and that's an interesting one because from a psychology point of view, that is going to raise concerns because people may well still want to use that. I'll give it to you Tuesday, or perhaps they'll now say Monday because of the fear of over-promising or the fear of if I've got it done in 40 minutes, there'll be something else. And, so that there is going to be, I think, a balancing act with transparency of how long it takes us to do stuff, because don't forget, we do still want space to think and do things well and not just whack stuff out, because that is where mistakes happen.
Very, very good point. What an amazing example. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I was quite pleased with myself. But have I just had a knock at the door? Is our guest here?
Coming up the steps right now.
Woohoo! Very excited. We've worked with Carla before. We have travelled to London. We've travelled to Lisbon. And now we're in Riverside.
We're delighted to introduce Carla de Schepper, People and Culture Director from global pharmaceutical group Animal Care. And you've been there for 24 years as People and Culture Director. So, please tell us a bit about what kind of role you have and what the organisation does.
Well, Animal Care is an international veterinary sales and marketing business. We are listed on the London AIM, which is the stock exchange for growth companies, as you know, in the UK. We are operating across 7 European countries and are exporting to about 40 countries in Europe and worldwide. And we have exciting news because we recently also acquired a veterinary equine business in Australia. So, and with this new business added on, we have now about 230 employees across the whole group. I've been with the business. It will be in March. It will be 24 years. So I've been there for a long time. I've been through the different acquisitions, due diligence process. So it has been quite a journey for me, but still very happy in my role. It's in 2017 when the merger with Animal Care took place. So I was part of the AQ4 group before the merger with Animal Care took place. And it's really since 2017 that we started to integrate our different business units, because we had been acquiring businesses at a very fast pace. But then we really looked as to how we could integrate those different businesses and take the people with us on our journey. Yeah, in my role of group people and culture director, it's really then that I've started also to focus on leadership developments in our business. So in 2019 I started to reorganize my HR function really around expertise to be more aligned with business needs, but also with people needs in our business. And then I also decided to change the name of HR to People and Culture, because I really believe that people and culture much more reflects the culture we want to drive within animal care. So It was not just a cosmetic change. It was really about how can we reflect really the culture we want to drive within our business.
That makes sense.
I love that. 24 years as well is going to have seen, will have seen so many different changes, but allows you to be integral to the organisation, what they need. And as you say, even just changing the name shows how much you're putting the people and the culture at the absolute core.
Yeah, that's it. And it's within our people and culture team, it's really about emphasizing that our role goes beyond traditional HR. Yes. So we really want to drive also innovation within our business, within people and culture. And we want to create a culture where people can thrive and really become the best version they can be. Also with using the innovative tools such as AI.
Well, that leads me on to, you've just said beyond the traditional role and realms of HR, because you have been instrumental in crafting, creating and kind of driving forward the AI responsible use agenda and policy within animal care. And I just wondered why that was something that you took upon yourself and within the people and culture team to lead versus, say, other organisations that may have left that within the IT department?
Well, first of all, I think that continuous improvement in a business, innovation and strong leadership is really the cornerstone of every successful business. So when I decided to explore the potential of AI within our business, I had already seen AI in different areas. Before we then also contacted Uptake, I thought it would be useful to sit together with my people and culture team and have a look as to how AI could support us in our journey, in our business. And I was thinking that the first step we needed to do was really to see how we could draft a powerful communication to our business to really create buy-in around the responsible, safe and ethical use of AI, and also to have a bit of a framework that we could use for our business. So people really knew what was in it for them, and what it's all about. So I think that was a first step. And I first wanted to upskill my people and culture team around the capabilities of AI, the potential impacts that AI could bring to our business, because in this way we were then much more informed to then go to our ICT departments to have a conversation with our ICT departments around the potential impacts that AI could have for our business, and then also to be able to launch this as really a shared initiative with our ICT departments.
Makes complete sense.
That does make sense. So it sounds like you noticed the opportunity to get in and lead that, and I'm just curious to know what your take is on executive sponsorship. So, people in the top team, like how important is it for them to be on board with responsible AI adoption?
For me, executive sponsorship is really absolutely critical in driving AI within any business, I think. So when also your senior leaders champion AI initiatives, it really sends a clear signal to the business that they want to adopt this technology, and also that they are committed to do it in a safe and responsible way for the business. So I think that executive sponsorship does not only enable the use of AI within your business, but it also will ensure that the adoption of AI is really linked to the strategy of your business and also to your core values as to how you want this adopted in your business.
Yeah.
But it's powerful to have strong messaging coming from the people and culture team.
Yeah.
And then it sort of sounds like it's like a magnifier or a multiplier if the executive team are on the same page.
Yeah, fully agree.
And you mentioned, Carla, working in a number of different countries and with acquisitions, with the equine new business, there's therefore new people involved and you'll have employees at different levels. How do you, or how have you ensured that they understand and that they buy in to this or the guidelines and that they buy into adopting the tools that will be provided?
For me, engaging employees across different countries is really, when it comes to AI, it's about bringing it in a pragmatic way, making it relevant, accessible, and also collaborative. So therefore, we were thinking to really bring it in an interactive way to our business. So we started with the support of Uptake AI with drafting the communication for the business, launching the framework around safe and ethical use for our business. But what we are thinking of now is as to bringing it in a collaborative way, an interactive way, buy-in, is really to start launching lunch and learns to our business, where we again will also share the basics of AI and its responsible use. So we really want to share some simple, practical examples of how you can use AI in a way that it can act as a support assistant in your daily tasks. So our goal is really to show to our teams how AI can make work easier and more efficient, so that people can also use this time then to work on more strategic things, which is also important for their roles.
Absolutely.
So I think this is a first step. And then we also want to encourage team members to share their own experience, because it might be within our business that some of our team members are already using AI. So we also want to look where the early adopters sit in the business. And then it would be good that these early adopters could become a bit of AI champions, so that they can really support the rollout of AI across our business in the different countries.
There's such a difference here, because what I'm hearing is the desire to encourage, to support, to provide guidelines for safe experimentation, whereas so many other guidelines, policies, agendas we've come across have focused more on what you're not to do, which is so damaging when it comes to adoption. So I love your approach and creating and identifying who's already doing what and showcasing that as wow, look at this innovation, and to see where else it could be of benefit to the business is really inspiring.
Yeah, I believe it's really about creating a collaborative and inclusive approach to AI adoption. Of course, we've also, when we launched our communication and our framework, we advised the business that we would start with co-pilots, because we have our 365 environment. We also want to start in a safe way. But I think it's good to share best practice and to have a look where people are using it, and also share best practice and see how we can continue to use it in a safe, responsible and ethical way.
That's interesting. So what are you noticing across the business then? So you've got your framework out there, you're communicating, you're starting to take steps towards sort of building that positive culture. Are you noticing any kind of success stories or stories about how people are using it well?
Well, we see that people are already using it in the way as to drafting communication. So it's really helping them as a bit of an assistant, support assistant. But our next steps are also to drive AI literacy. So also to help our teams with prompting, with the right prompting, to use it in the most efficient way. So again, it's by sharing with the business some simple practical examples, and to continue also to give support as to how they can use it in a responsible way, and highlighting this also, of course, that it's important, the way you use AI within your business, also when it links to confidentiality of your data. But I feel that people are really excited about the fact that we will continue with focusing on AI, and also help them with adoption by launching this Lunch and Learns, and also by looking in our business for our AI champions who can really support us with a successful rollout of AI.
It's clear that you see that there's a very strong psychological, social and cultural element to this. That's where to do the work to really help adoption.
And it sounds like this is just a blueprint for success. It really does sound like you've put everything in the right order and are taking your people and planning to take your people on the journey. It's not something that's been done off in a silo. And obviously you've been with the business for 4 years, so we'll know everyone and how everything works, which makes your job so much easier, I'm sure. Has there been any hurdles or any pushback at all, or delays or challenges? I'm just asking because I'm thinking if other people and culture, leaders, directors are listening to this podcast and perhaps they don't have the length of service in that particular company like you do, they might be worried about pushback for taking such an initiative. And I'm just wondering whether you did face any challenges.
I think that the most important thing when starting with launching AI in your business is, I think, as we did also within our people and culture team, is really to have a look first within your team and really upskill your team, maybe with support of an external company such as Uptake AI, to see how you can best approach the rollout of AI in a successful way and in a pragmatic way, because that's what we felt when working with Uptake AI. It was really the way we wanted to roll it out, really simple, pragmatic. I think also involving your ICT department from the start is important, as of course we need to take into account the safety part, ethical part. So that's a first step. And I think in a lot of businesses, many employees are already using AI maybe on their own. So I think what's also useful is always to start with a survey in your business to see what people are doing, where they feel they would need most support. So I think starting with this and then involving your ICT department from the start and have some basic ground rules, guidelines for your business is the right way to approach it.
And that's insight, isn't it? As you said, if you're upskilling the team, then you know more of what to ask or what conversations are needed with the IT teams. And you also have the data and the insight from your people if you've done something like a survey, I guess, which is supporting where the next steps need to be.
It's creating the buy-in also.
To get that buy-in. I think that's brilliant. What are the next steps in terms of innovation? Do you have certain projects on the roadmap, or are you looking forward to see what the ambassadors are going to uncover?
Well, as I mentioned, we are already using AI now to personalize internal communication, ensuring that messages are clear and tailored to the business. We also have now our online learning platform, our Animal Care Academy platform, which is also based on AI. So it's really designed to personalize the learning journey, ensuring that individuals get the right content at the right time. And it also gives ownership to employees and to line managers to really follow up on their personal development. And what I'm also exploring now, because within animal care, we really want to drive a culture of feedback and coaching. So what I'm exploring now is to see whether we could use chatbots to enhance feedback and coaching, so that these chatbots then can guide our team members as how to use feedback, constructive feedback, and really then integrating the model we are using as to giving constructive feedback. And this could also support our coaching culture, so where people could be trained on their coaching skills with chatbots. So this is something I'm looking into.
Absolutely. So what goes hand in hand with that is like people knowing it's their responsibility to do learning, because like the traditional training, you go to a workshop, you learn about coaching and feedback. I guess, when you're sort of saying to people, here are the tools, please use them, then learning needs to be part of your objectives. It needs to be part of your day job. And that's something that's going to be brilliant about AI as we go forward, is that people are going to be responsible for their own learning.
And it is like an executive coach in your pocket. So it very much democratizes learning and makes it accessible, whereas historically cost usually would have prohibited that. So it sounds like some really exciting innovations on the radar for you. We very much look forward to keeping up to speed with all of that, and just huge kudos to you for taking the initiative for driving the AI responsible use agenda forward in your organization as people and culture director. Delighted to hear that, and would love other people and culture and HR leaders listening this to follow your lead.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us, Carla, and look forward to speaking with you soon.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you, Lucy and Andrew.
So nice to see you.
Bye.
Lucy, I sensed a bond between you and Carla. It's obvious that you've known her for a while.
Yeah, we have probably known each other about a couple of years now through work and my previous life. But you know what? You build relationships in work, and that's the most important thing. And that's literally the most important thing to me. I like to get on with people, and when you connect, you just know, you're kind of like me. And just really enjoyed working with her. And of course, that relationship has followed my journey too. And Carla has introduced me and Uptake AI to a number of people across the organisation, and also in the pharmaceutical sector. And that's just really nice when you get referrals and recommendations, because because of people obviously like us too.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm in awe of about your professional approach. It's like you've got this incredible ability to build relationships with people. I was kind of hiding behind you going, go on, Lucy, go make friends over there. So I'm very appreciative of your skills in this area.
And you know what the most important thing for doing that is, as easy as it sounds or as silly as it sounds, it is about being authentic. It is about being vulnerable. I am a heart on sleeve kind of girl and open book. So when I build business relationships with people, they usually get to know the real me. And if I've had a bit of a crap day, or if I've just been dumped, or if I've smashed my car, you have 60% of the time with work conversations, 40% of the time life, and sometimes it might flip. And that's how it seems to, it's always been with me.
Yeah, I'm appreciative of it. Thank you.
Dear Lucy, help me fix my techie heart. My life is off, I need a brand new start.
Yeehaw! Dear Lucy, I'm leading an AI project for my company in the gaming industry, and we're stuck in limbo. Our progress has stalled because we don't yet have clear AI policies in place, amber flag, and leadership keeps telling us we need to wait for formal guidelines before moving forward. How many times have you heard that? Right, just get on with the letter.
In the name of AI.
Stop in the name of us being scared and we don't know what to do. It's frustrating. Back to the letter. It's frustrating because the team is excited and we've already identified several potential use cases, but there's a lack of direction that's holding us back. What can I do to get the project moving again without overstepping boundaries or creating unnecessary risks? Thanks, Mark. Gaming industry. Interesting. You think they'd be all over it, wouldn't you?
Thank you, Mark. Very lovely to hear from you, and I welcome your vulnerability and honesty with your challenges. I mean, obviously we don't know the size and scale of the organisation, but immediately, like you just shouted at red flag, there's a problem, isn't there, when companies overcomplicate things? You know, you hear it when they go, oh no, that's with global at the moment, or we're waiting to hear.
There's a steering group.
You can't have that. You can't have waiting to hear because people are then just doing nothing. It's a stall and it's a shame.
It's a manifestation of fear and confusion, right? So the best thing to do if you don't know what to do about AI is put together a group of people who are like a steering group. Don't give them any power, don't give them any mandate or control over the strategy. Just let them talk about it. And then you feel like you've ticked a box, but actually nothing's really happening.
I mean, you know, sometimes I do think, is it a stall? And actually nothing's happening because I don't know yet. And just putting it to the side, I don't know. But I think you're right. I think first things first, sometimes you don't have to, success doesn't always have to come top down. How about, as you said, starting small and generating an AI usage policy or guidelines for the particular team that Mark's in or for the business unit that he runs, and run, you know, some mini pilot programs with some of the tools to monitor and measure some of the outcomes, the metrics, to be able to then actively feed back up the outcomes from that, which will include actually this part of the guidance doesn't kind of work or translate because, or actually we see where this one is really important, so this should be more at the top. And perhaps those that are running the policies from the top will, you know, welcome the input, and that could open the gates for things to start moving.
Absolutely. So one of my, so I was in HR for a long time, and one of my sort of favorite managers, a guy called Carlos, said, sometimes, as a leader, when you see a scenario where there's a leadership vacuum, that's an invitation for you to step in and lead.
Yeah.
Everyone else is wondering who's going to do it. There's sort of bystander syndrome. Just be the one who steps in, picks it up, and sort of thinks, I'll figure out the permissions and the excuses and the apologies along the way. But you've got to be doing something.
Agreed. And also because if Mark is part of a team as such, he may be able to showcase how guidelines can differ or business units and teams across the organisation, because it isn't really one size fits all anyway.
Yeah. So with your finance,
that would be a great way to showcase how perhaps different departments can move at greater speed than others. It's difficult because if it is a large organisation or an enterprise organisation, there could be lots of layers to have to go through to even find who is working on or dealing with this AI policy. But ultimately, you know who your chain of command is, directly. And so I think as long as there's buy-in there and there is collaboration with some of the senior leaders, that there is, there's been a risk analysis of this is what we're going to do and how we're going to manage it in this kind of lab scenario. Mm-hmm. Where's the harm?
So what you're saying is like a contained small steps kind of experiment to get the right people in the room, build literacy, get people going with it, but in a kind of contained and measured way that you can take back to the business.
Yeah, and the experience from that and the literacy that we know will enable people to know what they need and to have almost learned the mistakes. So they therefore also know what needs to be put in terms of the don't do's, hopefully not in that kind of language, but they also understand why they are there.
Absolutely. Get cracking, Mark. You've had some great advice there, mate.
Good luck to you, Mark. And if you need any help, slide into my DMs.
We're game. There's like a game reference because he's in the gaming industry.
Well done.
So,
Well
yeah,
done.
I was quite pleased with that.
Righty tighty. This is the bit that makes me a little bit sweaty.
Right, this is quickfire questions where we sort of try and throw each other out. It's just a bit of a less planned part of the podcast, just as a bit of levity at the end to either get to know us or get to know some of the sort of detail about our relationship with AI.
Yeah, and my sweatiness.
If AI became self-aware tomorrow, what's the first thing you'd say to it?
I would probably say, please can you take your robot foot off my chest and spare the children?
Okay, the first thing that comes to my mind for this one is own up to what you don't know. It's okay to say, oh, I'm not quite sure. Actually, I think it might be, but don't quote me.
Like if it could say this, honestly, this is a guess, because that's what you want to hear, isn't it? Like,
Look, I've found this and I've found this. You could say this, but listen, don't quote me.
That's a brilliant answer.
Thank you.
I've had that experience where it almost feels like I'm having a sit-down with ChatGPT.
Like as a gangster bosses.
And it's important, you should challenge the bot, the tool that you use, and not assume that it's correct all of the time. So hang on a minute, where did you get that from? Can you tell me your sources? And challenge it.
Yeah. But like having to sit down with somebody and they go, oh, sorry, I dreamed it. Like, that's a bit like...
Yeah, you're right. No, that's wrong.
Really, really good point. Next question, Rich.
Hit us.
All right, next up. What's something that really gets on your nerves?
People phoning me when I'm in the middle of recording a podcast.
Have you just had that?
I just had that. But my family slipped through my do not disturb because, in case of emergency. So like, I've briefed them. WhatsApp me when I'm working, but no, they just call me when they feel like it because they think my job is a hobby.
But what if it was an emergency? Did you just go, stop?
Nothing is more important than this podcast.
Fair enough. Oh my God, Rich, that's a question for me. And I'm going to have to say, don't get me started. But I will just tell you a little one. What gets on my nerves? I've just come back from Mexico.
What is that in Wales?
It's Welsh for Mexico. Cheeky devils. Right. And I have mentioned this on a LinkedIn post before, actually. And when I started to think about it, I had a number of things that were a massive bugbear to me. But this, tell me, folks, if you get this too. So you get off a plane, you go to baggage reclaim, and there's the carousels where the bags go around. Why? Number one, do people feel the need to stand right at the carousel so no one can actually see the bags and then get to the bag when they see it's theirs? Number one. Now, occasionally you'll find gaps in all of that and you think, actually, maybe this is a more intelligent craft load stood a good 2 meters back, so we've all got a bit more room, we can see, and then we can step forward. Only once we have identified our bag should we step forward. And I'd identified a space and there was a bit of meterage in front of me, and I thought, absolutely great. This happens every time one person comes and stands like that.
There's always an idiot
right in front of me. Like, I could go, at what point did you think standing there was helpful to me?
It's weird, isn't it? Like in society, a good way of thinking about things is like, hey, if everybody did the same thing, what would happen? Right? And the answer is that there would just be complete chaos with that idiot standing in front of you.
I just wonder perhaps next time I should then go and stand in front of them. And so we would end up doing this in front of until one of us fell in the carousel. But it's just a massive bugbear. And I just want to say, come on, don't do it.
Don't do it. Unless you want to get tased.
Yeah. So sorry, that's my bugbear.
You feel better having worked through that with us?
No, because it's one of those things that I know is going to happen. So I've wound myself up even before it's happened. The second somebody looks like they're going to stand in front of me, I want to punch them. Yeah,
I don't blame you. Well, look, maybe an experiment is you could try punching them and then sort of like see how it goes.
Fair enough.
Do something.
Right, throw forward to next episode. We have been in 50 million client conversations, workshops and immersion groups. It's incredibly exciting. 2025 is absolutely the year of AI, but dear listener, what it means to you is we're having all of the conversations, we are getting all of the insights to be able to share with you. So you can guarantee on the next episode, episode 8, can you believe it? You will be getting some knowledge from the AI Readiness podcast to support you wherever you are on your journey. So if you're people and culture and HR and you're thinking, what do I do with my people? Where do I start? What skills? Who's using what? If you're IT and you're thinking, I don't really want to be managing this, whatever it might be to do with adopting AI for your team or your organization, this is the podcast for you.
We're working with trade exhibition organisers, law firms, housing associations, even private equity, who have enlisted our help to try and kind of get ahead of the game and sniff out the AI nonsense that they're hearing from a lot of their potential pitches.
Yeah, that's going to be really interested.
So we're going to be knee deep in those conversations and really excited to come back and tell you some of the gold nuggets.
So check in for episode 8. See you.
Check in and check us out.
Bye-bye.
In the meantime, have a good couple of weeks and
Have a lovely time.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm not going to go for the last bye this time. I'm happy to let someone else have the last bye.
Adios.
I'm out of the game. Just
Ciao.
Welcome to the AI. Readiness podcast,